Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Telco Tips. And this week's video, obviously about SIM-only plans versus handset plans, was actually in relation to a question that I had on my LinkedIn page last week. And I know I've covered this off a couple of times in other videos, and I will put some links to those videos below. But basically just wanted to run through the current plans and how they work versus and why they've been set up the way they have been, essentially, by the telco companies. But to understand that, we actually need to go back and have a look at what the traditional plan structure used to look like a few years back. Now, thankfully, the main telco companies in Australia, Telstra, Optus and Vodafone, have all predominantly moved away from this sort of structure. They do still have a few plans in place that are on that. We'll get onto that later. But they've all kind of moved through to this model now, which has been great. So it's most of the plans that you'll find online. I've just grabbed an example here. It's say a $40 plan and you get 10 gigabytes worth of data for your $40 a month. Seems pretty standard. Now, the way the old plans used to work is they'd say, look, this is what the SIM-only plan is. This is what the handset plan is. Now, the handset plan, immediately they jump to say a $60 plan with 5 gig of data. And people look at that and go, well, okay, 5 gig's not enough. I need the 10 gig suited me, so I need to go up to the next plan. Fine, that's available. Mr. Customer, $70 a month and you'll get your 10 gig. It's exactly the same. There's no real difference between the plans, but that's $70 a month because it's a handset plan and we're giving you a phone with it and this and that. This one's nice and clean and clear. But so already the $60 plan is a non-event. We don't even look at that anymore. $70 a month, 10 gig of data. Now, look, I'm after the new iPhone. I need it to be 128 gig. It's this, it's that, it's whatever. Now, the way the old plans used to work is they'd say, look, okay, the cost of the phone is $40 a month, but you'll get a credit on your bill of $30 a month. So you're actually only paying $10 a month for the actual phone cost itself. Now, that's basically what they've done for many, many, many years, and you've probably seen it on your bills over a period of time, and this is basically the way that it works. So your monthly commitment ends up being the plan cost, $70, plus the handset cost, $40, minus the handset credit of $30. So your total ends up being $80 per month. That's what your total is. You sign a 2-year contract and away you go. It's $80 a month and you've got your phone and happy days, right? That's the way that the traditional plans have always worked. Now, what the phone companies have realized is that people don't particularly like being contracted on the plan. The plans are moving so often, they don't like being locked in on the actual plan. They're happy to pay for the phone, and Vodafone did a thing 10 years ago, probably longer than that now, 10, 12 years ago, where they said, look, we're just not going to have any contracts on anything. You're going to be with us. We're going to trust that you enjoy being with us and you love our network and you love our plans and this and that. We're not going to contract anything. We're not going to do handsets. We're not going to do any of that stuff. If you want a phone, go and buy it from, I think it was Nokia at the time, or Apple had only just come into the market for a couple of years. But and BlackBerry was big at that stage. But that's basically what they did, is we said, look, we're going completely no contract at all. And people ended up coming back to them. I was working for a Vodafone dealer at the time, and people were coming to us saying, look, I'm happy to pay for the phone. I just want to be able to incorporate in the plan. I'm happy to be in a contract, but give me a phone. Like, I don't want a phone, I need a phone. So Vodafone were forced to rethink it. And it was a great move at the time. They went down the no contract route. And, obviously they've had a few issues since then, but they've come back very strong. And again, they're right up there as, I would put them in line with Optus pretty much as far as a company to deal with. Obviously, Telstra's got the better network and the better data speeds, but the other two are pretty well on par. But that's basically how the plans have traditionally worked. Now, what all three telco companies have done in the last 12 months is that they've all moved away from that model for the most part. As I say, they still have a couple of plans in that space, but we'll get into that in a sec. But what they've gone through is essentially what the current plan structure is. And if you have a look online, all of the plans online that you'll find are essentially on this plan structure now, right? So you pick a $40 plan, it gets 10 gig of data, that's your plan. That is not contracted at all. There's no contract on it. And this is what the question was on LinkedIn was, what's the issue with being on a contract on the plan? And I said, look, there's a few things. Now, I deal predominantly with companies that will have 5, 10, 50, 100, 500. My top 2 clients have got 400 and 500 services. So they're, fleet size accounts. But even the smaller ones, 5 and 10 and 20 service accounts, there's the few issues there. Number one is if a better plan comes out, too bad, so sad, you're stuck in this contract. that's it. You have to wait until that contract's up to move on to it. Or if you want to move on to it early, there's a payout figure. So even if you're staying with the existing carrier, there can be payout figures and fees and everything. And that's number one. Number two is if you do need to make any changes to that service, if the person that was using that service moves on from the business and you no longer need that service, you're actually stuck in that contract, right? And you can pay to get out of it, but you're paying the full fee. Whereas the no contract plans, if somebody leaves the business and you no longer want that number or need that number, you just cut it off. No cost, no penalty, no nothing. So they're the main two. But then, you also, if you have the third one being when people come into the business, say maybe 6 months or 12 months down the track, you go, okay, I need to employ another 2 plumbers, whatever business you are, say plumbers. I need to employ another 2 plumbers. We need to get them phones and everything. Then you start ending up with staggered contracts where the original fleet come out of contract in 12 months' time or 18 months' time, but the remainder of the services have got another 6 or 12 or 18 months after that, and it just becomes too messy. It's, if you've watched any of my videos, you'll probably realise I just like keeping it simple. I'm a very simple individual. I like this sort of structure. It keeps it nice and simple and clear and easy, and also means that you're not locked in for anything that you shouldn't be, right? So this is the new structure where they've gone, okay, well, the plan is $40 a month. You still get your 10 gig of data, same as you do on the $70 plan over there, but it's only $40 and we're not going to give you a phone. It's not contracted, that is what it is. And then you go, okay, I do want a phone with it and I'm happy to pay for that phone. Then you go, fine, we'll give you that same $40 phone as you're getting over there, but we're not giving you any credit. But, obviously they've already charged $30 more for the plan and they're giving you a $30 credit. It's swings and roundabouts, right? It's very, very transparent, these new plans. It's $40 a month is the plan, no contract. $40 a month for the handset, that part is contracted. So if for whatever reason you need to pay out that contract or the service needs to be disconnected or what have you, all you're paying out is the $40 a month times however many months you've got to go, right? And this is where the difference comes in, is the monthly commitment is the plan cost plus the handset cost is your $80 a month. So, people say to me, Rob, what's the difference? It's $80 a month both ways. And if you're going to keep the phone for 2 years, what's the difference? Who cares, right? The difference is everything that I just said. Now, the plans typically change every 12 months or so. There'll be new plans coming out. And if you do decide that you want to leave the carrier that you're with at the moment, you're free to go on these sort of plans and you just pay out the handsets. Those plans you're locked in. So the main difference being, if you go on this plan, you're contracted for $80 a month. That's your contract. That's what you have to pay. So if you decide that you need to cancel or move or do whatever you want to do with that plan, you're paying $80 a month times the amount of months you've got remaining, all right? Over on this side, you're only contracted for $40. That plan's no contract. So if you're on Optus and Optus bring out a better plan in 12 months' time, move on to it. It might be a $30 plan with 10 gig, or it might be a $40 plan with 20 gig, whatever it happens to be. You've got the freedom to move on to that, and you just continue paying your $40 a month for the handset. So even though at face value you're still paying the same every month, this structure gives so much more freedom and so much more leverage than what that one does. Okay, it gives you a lot more power than what that one does. This one, the power, the leverage, everything sits with the provider. Okay, because they know that you're contracted for the full amount. And this is another point that I made on my LinkedIn post, was part of the reason I like these plans is because it keeps the telco companies on their toes. They know that if they stuff up at all, and this is assuming you take a phone, right? You can get all of these plans, no phone, no whatever, and you're not under any contract at all. And I've got some of my large corporate clients on exactly this structure, or a lot of them, because it still works better being on a no contract plan and having the inclusions that they have versus being on some of the corporate plans, right? Because it keeps the telco companies on their toes. And I had one of the account executives come to me 6 months ago and say, well, look, if they don't move to this plan structure, we're going to cancel this and this, incentives and extras and bits and pieces that we've got with them. And I said, you realize that all the services are out of contract, right? If you cancel that portion of the agreement, I'm taking every service over here tomorrow. So it gives you a lot more leverage, it gives you a lot more power, because the actual services aren't contracted, only the equipment is. And fair enough with the equipment, right? Because the equipment, if we use Telstra, for example, Telstra's giving you an iPhone that's an $1,800 phone, they need to get that money back. And there's not that much, most of what goes out these days is Samsung and iPhone. There's not a massive amount of margin in either of those, especially iPhone. So, fair enough that if they're giving you a piece of equipment, they need to get that back, but there's no reason really that needs to be contracted. Now, as I say, there are a couple of carriers out there that are still using this sort of structure to an extent, where they're trying to contract the actual plan for 24 months. And that means that you would be contracted in that case for the $80. So it's almost kind of a mixture. It's a $40, they're a little bit more transparent about it than what this is. There isn't cost and credit but increased plan cost. It's essentially the same sort of plan cost. So it might be $40 a month with 20 gig or 40 gig data or whatever it is. But they charge you the $40 for the phone, but then you're contracted for the entire amount. And the argument I made with that LinkedIn post was, unless you are 100% guaranteed that nothing is going to change for 2 years, I can't do that with my business. If you can with yours, then brilliant. But unless you're in that position where just stay away. There's no benefit to it. There's really no benefit, because they'll go and put these plans up and they'll lock you into these contracts, and then you're stuck. And I've seen it a lot of times. I mean, I've gotten a lot of people out of contract over the years for contracts that they quite simply shouldn't have been in. But when you're stuck to that extent, it does make it a lot harder than, this sort of thing is nice and easy. And there's a handset repayment, you pay off the phone and you're done. But this sort of thing, so as far as SIM only versus handset plans, if you do it right, there's not really too much difference these days. The plan itself is exactly the same either way. If you need a new phone, add on a new phone. Fine, you're just paying off the phone, the difference. That's how I've got my personal, my business plans are set up, is exactly in that manner. They're all on no contract plans. I'm doing it myself. It's what I sell to my clients. I hate this sort of structure, especially with the new 24-month contracts. And as I say, I've made a couple of other videos and I explain a little bit more about why they are such a death trap in telco for customers. Salespeople love them. And quite frankly, I can sell them and I'd make 5 times the commission selling that than that. Okay, but I just don't believe in them they're not the right thing for the client, pretty much on any level. Same as tech fund plans, but that's a whole other video again. So look, as long as you do it the right way, there's no real difference between handset and SIM only plans. Don't contract the plan, contract the hardware, and fair enough, and then you're free to move and do whatever you want. So again, in my circumstance, I've got all of my handsets, my hardware contracted, but the plans aren't. So if Telstra brings out a new plan in 2 weeks' time, I'm free to move on to that without any issue whatsoever. No penalties, no nothing. And this is what I've got a lot of my corporate, pretty much all of my corporate clients on, and business clients and whatever. So that's pretty much it. If you do have any questions or comments, by all means, stick them down below. I am always checking that out, and I do actually reply to pretty well all the comments, whether it's here or LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever the comments are left. I do try and get to all of them, but if you feel like you got some value out of that video, please subscribe. I'm trying to get up to 100 subscribers at the moment. I think I'm sitting on 59 or 60 right now, but if I get to 100, or when I get to 100, they will actually allow me to have a proper URL in my YouTube video, so happy days. But so if you can help with that, would be amazing. And click the little bell and you'll get a notification every time I post a new video. There'll be one of these sort of videos going up every week on a Tuesday, same as what this one has. But other than that, I hope you got some value out of it. Feel free to share it out there and have a good Tuesday night. Cheers.